That face when you think the guy is already peeking the car, so you shoot him and it turns out to be a wing mirror. Yeah, I've made that face before. Hasn't everybody? Hey, I got him in the end. I used to see pretty good in the old days before electricity. Uppercut, uppercut, sonic boom! Boys and girls, this is the most common world drop AR in the game, the M16A4. It's as common as muck, but it has a variety of roles and purposes for which it is deemed appropriate. And if you want to learn what they are, how it works, what it's good at, what it's not good at, then this is the video for you. I'm going to break down some stuff that a lot of you don't know about, unless you watched my video last night where I talked about the candid sight. Some of that you'll know about. I'm going to talk about its nearest competitor, which I believe is the Mini 14. I'm going to talk about why that is. I'm going to talk about the really big positives of using this weapon, and there are many of them. All this and so much more. So stick around and let's get to it. But before we do, please remember to just go and hit that subscribe button now. That would help me a lot. And like the video so the algorithm goes and starts chucking us out there into the chum-filled, shark-infested waters of YouTube. Now, I like playing with the M16 as my primary. It is a challenging weapon. It's challenging because you have to do a lot of switching between burst mode and single tap. You have to change the scope a lot, and you really have to focus on tracking your targets and working for engagements that work for you. But I'm going to show you a few clips that might illustrate why this gun is in fact really valuable. First and foremost, it's everywhere. So if you can get good at running the M16A4, then you're always going to be able to find something on a hot drop that can save your bacon. And that might mean that you also get good at tap firing and aiming and running claw and using a whole bunch of other weapons like DMRs as primaries on hot drops and Mark 47 mutants. But I'm going to show you 3 clips here, and these are going to let you know why I think this weapon can be so devastating. The first is the theory of front loading. When you press the button to fire the gun, 3 rounds come out. Not 1, and then a 2, and then a 3, but all at the same time. So when you line them up, ta-ta, he was dead before the second round hit. That wrecked him. Secondly, the switch. It is a great switch weapon. If you have it as a secondary pseudo DMR, it's also very good for switching to and just burst firing in CQC. Thirdly, that DMR roll, look how light it is on the recoil. Headshot, headshot, thanks very much. Little quick peeks and taps, and that's because it's got a 937 meter a second bullet speed coupled with an absolutely tiny amount of recoil due to it being a 5.56 AR. Now, I'm not going to pee in your pocket and tell you it's raining. It is a difficult weapon. It's challenging. You should not watch this video and then just go out and say, oh, why isn't it working? Bushka said it was really good. It has incredibly good rewards when it works, but the risk is that the floor, when it doesn't work, is very low. If you're in single tap mode and you end up in CQC with this as your primary, you may struggle to come out of that alive. And the game is so based around just dumbing down recoil and spraying with a 3X with a barrel, or your M416 or something like that, or any of those things, that running a gun that requires you to both move with your hands and fire and aim at the same time can be very challenging for a lot of people, me included. Like, I'm not speaking ill of the dead here. I suck with it sometimes too. The gun that it competes with the most to me is the Mini 14, which might surprise some people, but the M16 in the current meta is really seen as a secondary DMR that is just called an AR. I love it because you can use it as that and then it does other things. But the gun that this gets compared with is the Mini. And well, it should, because after I've done some testing with it, the recoil is nearly identical. It is absolutely so close to the same when you're either just testing out how high the rounds will go, or really stepping on it to see where you end up with recoil. It's so close, and it's just ridiculous. Both of them have very clear-cut positives. The M16 can handle more rounds, which is very important, especially if you're in a squad setting. The M16 has a versatility to it the Mini doesn't. The Mini has a higher shell velocity, 1,000 meters a second, which is in fact fastest in the game. But, I mean, you look at this, the M16 has some issues as well. Its canted sight is terrible. If you look here, it's one of the only weapons I could find in the game that has a canted sight which is actually in front of the main scope. This means when you use the canted sight, you get this massive scope on the left side of your screen, which takes up a huge amount of space and means it's very, very difficult to see targets clearly coming in on that left side, which can allow you to be blindsided, which is not fantastic. I mean, it doesn't mean it's unusable. You can certainly see here, but this is another example of me. I'm using a switch to go from canted to red dot, and then I'm switching from single to burst. And this is why it's a challenging weapon. There's a lot involved there in terms of finger dexterity. I don't know why I'm talking about dexterity. Watch this. I knew I was making a M16 video, so I'm like, I've got to get more M16 footage. So I kept swapping between the guns by accident. Anyway, long story short, I got him. This is what a lot of people will do with it, and it works extremely well. And this is where the extended clip comes in. Basically, it dumbs things down a lot. It's got more rounds. It just works like this. You can just tap, 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 and it'll do really, really well. And this is exactly what we're talking about on a hot drop. When you pick up a Tommy gun on M16, you can use the M16 to both snipe. There we go. We change it from burst to single. We change the scope, and we single tap out a guy who is sniping on the bridge. It's versatile. I mean, if you haven't got that already, you bloody well should. If you can use this and you learn to use it, you can get a lot out of it. You can be really, really effective. There is no recoil on these guns, Mini or M16. Look at the reticle. That's with a 3x. It's not hard to handle at all. Why don't more people use it? Well, the meta at the moment is very much built around just full auto, because full auto is a lot easier to do. You don't have to keep tapping the button, which makes it harder to aim, so it's a lot harder to aim while you're tap firing like this. But you can get used to it, and you can certainly be effective with it. It just takes practice, like anything. And I've got to say, if you learn how to be good with the M16, it rewards you in more than just being good with the M16. It opens up a lot of other avenues for you. Once you get good at tap firing an M16, you can then use a mutant when you have to, and the Mark 47 mutant is pretty freaking filthy when you use it in CQC. You can learn to use DMRs better because, I mean, let's be honest, if you're good at tap firing, then you're going to be a better long-range tap firer as well as a CQC tap firer. All these are things that happen because you work on it. But I'm going to show you this clip here. I mean, I throw a lot of lead at the wall, and I'm someone that's used this gun a lot, and I just miss a lot. And I mean, I'm very, very lucky here. I don't feel like I should have won this engagement. I fired a lot before I eventually got that kill. That's because it's not an easy gun to always get the most out of. Is it fun? Hells to the yes. Is it nostalgic and has a storyline and a narrative that really drives you, and great skins, and a gun that's been used by your favorite idols like Shroud and Choco Taco and been in all these movies? Well, also yes. And that means that it's a gun that I'll probably keep using. It's not easy. I don't want you to go out there and think that you can just pick this gun up and do everything that I'm doing in these clips. It's not that I'm great, because these clips aren't great, but they showcase it being used successfully. Using this successfully is not always going to be the easy option. I do think, though, if you learn to use a weapon like this, you will get better at the game. You will be a better PUBG mobile player. I know that some of the most notoriously good humans in the world, like Paraboy, have used the M16 a lot and given it a real boost in popularity. But if you think you're going to turn up and be Paraboy, then I've got some land I'd like to sell you at low tide. It is especially great to be having a loadout that's like a M16 and a Winchester with no helmet and a level 1 vest, and then drop Picardo Arena and feel like, yeah, I can do this because I'm comfortable with this weapon and because I know exactly what it can do and how it can do it. It's a hell of a gun. Don't sleep on the M16, but also maybe consider just going and using it for a week and watching how your game improves. I'm not kidding about that. How about desync? Welcome to Asia. I'm Bushka. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the video. It helps. Please subscribe to the channel. That also helps. And just be nice to each other. There's enough people not being nice to each other out there in the world right now. It'd be nice to think that as a community, we can probably lift ourselves up and just be decent human beings. Until next time, bye for now.